welcome back to another episode of the Blue Castle podcast. I'm your host, Molly.
I'm your other host, Sarah.
And today we are having another episode in our super viral line of episodes. This series, thousands have been begging us for it.
Millions.
And by that, I mean, we enjoy recording. It's one of our favorites, I think. Sarah's done a bunch of research today for the Yacht and Beach Club, and maybe Sarah would like to give some colored commentary on how the format of this episode might not be the same as previous resort episodes.
I think it'll be mostly the same. I think basically I had less time to do, I won't go into the background, but I had less time to do the research, but I still did a lot of research. I just couldn't write it all down. I had to just listen to it. So I've written down some notes here and there, but I think it'll be just as good as all the others, if not better, because this is my prediction, and I don't yet know when I'll be able to test this theory, but I believe, this is a bold statement, I believe either the Beach or Yacht Club will be my favorite Disney resort at some point, but we've never stayed there.
Really?
Yeah. After doing this research, I think it has everything going for it. I mean, we've talked before about some of the other resorts and how great they are, but all of them have kind of a big hang up to me, and it's that their location is either good, it's like good, really good for Magic Kingdom, and it's not good for anywhere else, or I don't know, it's always the location. This place has the prime location for your favorite Walt Disney World resort and my favorite Walt Disney World
Hollywood
resort.
Studios and Epcot.
Exactly.
Baby.
And the theming is on point. The restaurants are better than I realized. We'll get into that. And it's just a great vibe. Oh, and the pool. We'll get into the pool as well. But I was also really sold on that.
The pool is what a lot of people go there for. Like, that's why people pick it, along with its location. I don't know if maybe I'm just like a hater prematurely, but I love the vibes of Beach Club, but the vibes of Yacht Club, not so much. Yacht Club to me is giving teenage boy with navy sheets vibes.
I don't think you're giving it enough credit for like how classy and like fancy vibes it is. You're right.
It's like dark. It's a little dark for me.
It's more masculine. That's really the gist of it. And the Beach Club is more bright and airy and fun and feminine. And so
Yacht Club's for boys and Beach Club's for girls.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, basically, that's kind of, but the thing is, they share all the amenities. So we'll get into all of that. This was your teaser, your preview of things to come in this conversation. But that is just my prediction. I have visited there enough to know that I really like it. I am always drawn back to it. It's on the Skyliner. That's another big thing. And the other thing,
we are big Skyliner girls.
Molly
big
is choosing.
Skyliner girls.
Molly is okay. I was gonna say she's a preschooler this episode, and then she turned into, what's the stepmom on a Cinderella story?
I don't know her name, but she's the stepmom. I've just got the voices today. I've got the impressions.
She's the one who's like on the tanning bed asking about like moist cookies or something. If you know, you know. That is a Disney movie, so it is on topic. In case you were curious,
and I am not at all distracting to this episode.
It's fine. Okay, so I am going to try my best. I couldn't remember the order of how Molly has done this or how I did it in the past. Again, like I said, I couldn't read at the moment. Lost the ability entirely. No, I was super motion sick. That's all you really need to know. So I couldn't like look at anything. I could just listen. Anyway, so I'm going to start with the history. There's really not a lot of backstory that I know about, so I could put some pieces together based on what I learned. And so the Yacht Club opened November 5th, 1990. The Beach Club opened November 18th, 1990. So about 2 weeks later.
Basically, twins.
Twins, exactly. And everyone already knows that. Like, they're same but different kind of vibe. Boy twin, girl twin, as we have established. And Yacht Club is the
We
elder.
stay personifying the deluxe resorts.
We do love that.
They all have their own individual people characteristics.
Yes, they do. And these more strongly, more obviously than, I mean, every bit of research I've come across, almost everyone is like beach club's the girl. Well, they don't say beach club's the girl, yacht club's the boy. They say like, you know, because they're professionals. They say like beach club is more feminine and whimsical, and and boardwalk. I mean, what am I saying? Yacht club is more masculine and like moody. So yeah. Anyway, but they open basically the same time. Twins, so to speak. And the reason they're coming out about this time, from what I could gather, it kind of lines up with the history we've talked about in other resort episodes. But essentially, there weren't that many resorts at this point in time. This was before Wilderness Lodge. So at this point, yeah.
That is pretty old.
Wait, when was Wilderness Lodge?
That's kind of surprised. Well, I don't remember. That was the last episode we did, and I should remember.
That's okay.
But Wilderness Lodge was right before. Sorry, not right before. It was after they opened Epcot, but I think it was before they'd opened any of the other parks. So Magic Kingdom obviously was open. It's in the Magic Kingdom loop.
Yeah. I could be wrong about that, but the point, I guess, was that they were kind of stalled out on hotels for a while, and they really needed more hotels, and this was the beginning of the Epcot area resorts. So
it's newer, or sorry, not newer. It's older than Boardwalk and like Swan and Dolphin.
Swan and Dolphin were being built at the same time.
So
I can't remember which one had the first opening day. I think these were first, Beach and Yacht, but I'm not quite sure. But it was actually interesting in the history of it. So the architect of Beach and Yacht Club was a famous architect, Robert A.M. Stern. He has a lot of big famous things. Norman Rockwell Museum somewhere in the Northeast, which has a similar look to these. So people think that that's kind of associated. But also he did things like the George W. Bush, or one of the Bush's libraries in Dallas. But he's known for like kind of making something fit in its world. So he doesn't have like his own thing that he's going to stamp on everything. He's like considering the vibe of that area, and he wants to like match it and like accentuate it. Whereas the guy, I don't have his name, but the guy who did the Swan and Dolphin, like, well, I'll ask you, what's your take? What's different about Swan and Dolphin versus Beach and Yacht Club?
I would say Swan and Dolphin are a little more, they feel bigger, more wide and huge and awe-inspiring or whatever. Like the atrium or whatever, the lobby area is a lot more expansive and big. Maybe not quite as big as like a Wilderness Lodge or an Animal Kingdom Lodge. And again, I can't remember the architect who designed those, but those definitely have a stamp where it's like you walk in, floor to ceiling, giant beams on theme.
Well, it's funny where you're going with that. The guy who designed the Swan and Dolphin is known for like in your face, over the top, like big, which it's not going to like fit in anywhere.
Yacht and Beach Club, it's not like you walk in and your jaw hits the floor because there's something so eye-catching or crazy. It's all very tasteful, and it's all very nice and elevated and on theme, and it's immersive, but it's not like a giant lobby where there's some giant thing that draws your eye. It's just welcoming in its own way.
Yeah, exactly. It's cozy. It's like a normal number of floors, like 3 or 4 stories, and it looks like normal architecture. It's beautiful, and it fits in with kind of a beach or yacht vibe, but it's not like over the top in your face, where Swan and Dolphin is like dramatic and the scale is huge, and there's these giant sculptures of swans or dolphins or whatever outside. So that was kind of the thing. And there's this feud between the two architects, apparently, where they both basically hated on each other's style. And they both, like, the architect of the Swan and Dolphin won an award one year, and then the other guy from the Swan and Dolphin won it like 2 years later. Not for those things, but just in general. So they're both well known and well acclaimed, but they just didn't respect each other very much. That was really interesting to me.
They're definitely not Disney Imagineers, because I don't think
No.
Disney would allow that beef to get public like that. But
no, and I don't know if it went both ways, or if, I know the Swan and Dolphin guy said some comments about the other
that
guy.
would make sense. Swan and Dolphin is not a Disney resort. They probably don't. They probably don't vet their architects for Disney friendliness.
Yeah, and I would love to do some research on the history there, because there's got to be some drama. There's got to be. It just feels
Maybe
like
we can unpack it more in the Swan and Dolphin episode.
Yeah, if we even allowed one.
continued.
Yes. Okay, so that was the majority of the history. There really wasn't a lot to glean there, other than it basically they just needed to expand. They needed Epcot area resorts. At this point, they mostly just had a lot of Good Neighbor resorts and Magic Kingdom area. So they needed to make some moves, and that is what they did. Oh, the other fun fact about this architect before we move on from that. He was on the Walt Disney Company board for like 10 years or something like that. He helped design the town of Celebration, which is just south of Walt Disney World, which is just it's like a community. I don't know it's like its own town because it's big enough to be one, but it's kind of like a giant neighborhood. And then he also helped, at least his company designed the boardwalk later on. So he's a big deal.
Slay. That makes sense. Walking into the boardwalk, it's very similar in size and scale to, I mean, it's just not grand in a way that's actually good and classy. But
yeah,
like you mentioned before, Disney really was needing more hotels, and I'd never really thought about it too much, but there are way more deluxe hotels in quantity than there are moderates and value resorts combined. And yes, we grouped all of the all-stars together, but we're also grouping Yacht and Beach Club. So even when you look at like the groupings that make sense, there's a lot more deluxes.
mm-hmm.
And I think Disney knows where they can get their money.
Yep. Oh, we'll get to that. Some of these rooms are pricey. Okay, so the location, we've mentioned it. It's in the Epcot area. So it's on Crescent Lake. And this is the other thing that was interesting to me, is that Crescent Lake was basically just marshes prior to like 1988 or something like that. And it was built as a man-made lake as part of this hotel situation. So the thought there is that it's very likely like all of this was kind of master planned at once, like the whole Crescent Lake area. So even though Boardwalk wasn't built yet, it was probably in the works or like planned. And Crescent Lake came about and was basically a lake when this hotel opened up. So
that makes sense. I mean, most of Walt Disney World, if not all of it, is marshland that a lot of people before Walt Disney bought it thought was unusable. So I would imagine that when they bought it, they kind of had plans for at least the first few decades of things so that they could do to improve it. And also, building right next to a marsh might not be as safe or for like the foundation as it would be to like channel the water, make it into a man-made lake, contain it, understand it better, then build next to it.
Yeah. So Crescent Lake goes into Epcot. It's the middle of the World Showcase, and then it kind of connects with this little miniature river. I don't know what those are called. Rivulet, I don't know. And it goes into the main part of Crescent Lake, which is surrounded by all of the resorts. So you've got Beach Club, Yacht Club, Swan and Dolphin, and the Boardwalk. And then it goes another little river thing, and it becomes another little part of the lake over in front of like the Skyliner station at Hollywood Studios. So that's why we say it's walkable to both Epcot and Hollywood Studios. The walk is just significantly shorter to Epcot. You're like right there. At the Beach Club especially, the Yacht Club's a little bit further over. So the Yacht Club probably is going to be, well, I don't know. I think Beach Club is probably better for both. It's kind of confusing because it's a circle around the river, and the way that you like get over to the Hollywood Studios area, there's like a bridge one way, whatever. So it just depends on where you are in the resorts. But it's walkable either way. And then there are cute little boats that boat all the way around. So you can get a boat to Hollywood Studios if like a 20-minute walk seems a little too much for you and your
I didn't
group.
know you could get a boat to Hollywood Studios. I don't really have the map in my head.
In your brain.
I don't have that map in my brain at all. I think we've walked from Epcot to that area before, just like the gate to that area, but we've never walked, at least I haven't walked with you to Hollywood Studios from there. So like if I had walked that, it'd probably be a better map in my head. Also, you said the word rivulet. Did you know that word before Taylor Swift?
No. She told me everything I know, Molly, obviously. That's from My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, if anyone wants to go look it up and find that word. But yeah, no, that's a good call out. The other thing to mention is that the Skyliner station is right at the entrance of the side entrance of Epcot, which is where all of these resorts go to. And you can take the Skyliner a roundabout way to get to Hollywood Studios too. And that's about 20 minutes as well. So if you prefer a Skyliner ride over a boat ride, you could do that. I have done that before. It's like my favorite mode of transportation, as you probably know if you've listened to us at all before. So that's a huge, huge perk of these.
It is a little less unique to take the Skyliner than to take the boats. And I just say that because there are a lot of resorts on the Skyliner now.
Yeah.
Which is totally a sleigh, and we love the Skyliner. But
I know,
if I'm staying at a place where I can ride to a park by boat, that's bridge rich. That is elite.
It feels a little more special. The only issue with the boat, I would say, is that it has multiple stops. So you'd have to kind of figure out like where the stops are, or like what direction it's going, because if you're going to stop at the boardwalk and Swan and Dolphin before you get to Hollywood Studios, that's going to be a longer ride, but maybe on your way home if it gets to you first or something like that. So maybe you can do like one or the other depending on the situation. But anyway,
yeah, I also think about how sometimes we overcomplicate things. Like just get on the boat. It might take you a little longer, but it's going to be a nice boat ride.
It's going to be very nice. I have taken that boat. I've done the walk. I've done the Skyliner version. They're all wonderful. And you know what I didn't mention in any scenario?
Bus.
No bus. You don't need a bus except for Animal Kingdom
and Magic
Kingdom, which
they aren't connected by anything anyway. Unless you're staying at Magic Kingdom in the loop, you're going to be taking a bus to get there.
Yeah,
and to me, Animal Kingdom, like even if you're at Animal Kingdom Lodge, you have to take a bus.
Yeah, and if you're at Magic Kingdom resorts, you have to take a bus everywhere except for Magic Kingdom. But here you have to take a bus like very few places. I don't know, it's just so good.
Which is one of the reasons I think it's such a sleigh that there are 2 value resorts that have the same perk. I mean, It might not be by boat, but if you stay at a Skyliner resort, you could stay at Art of Animation or Pop Century and have honestly a better transportation situation if you're trying to avoid buses than most of the deluxes.
Yep.
Bang for buck, baby.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to move on to the next category, which is amenities. So I'm going to go over kind of the boring ones first. They're not boring. They're good. They're just, we've mentioned them before in like a lot of the other resorts. So typical stuff that they have, similar to what Molly mentioned for Wilderness Lodge, some of this, because it's not going to be the stuff that they have at every, like, it's mostly deluxe stuff. So they do have fishing in the boats and like fishing tours or whatever. Classic, they have like the movies situation with a campfire, like movies at night. And that one is extra special because it's kind of overlooking Crescent Lake, from what I can tell, on the beach. So, and it just has a great vibe. It's really close to Stormalong Bay, the pool area. So I think it's just like good vibes all around, you know? And then they have workout facilities. I did not get the name of those, but you know, you get it. Typical workout facilities. And they have Molly's mentioned like the running path or walking path at other resorts. This is basically, it's just around Crescent Lake is like your running path. And I have seen people running that because I think that's a very common resort area to stay at when you're running or you're in Run Disney events because it's right there next to Epcot. Epcot has a few of the races. And I think it's just a great running spot.
It makes sense because people do come to Disney for races. But also when I see people running, I can't help but think like, are they just insane? Because you get so many steps, like marathon level steps in a day, just walking in a park. And I am dead after a park day. My feet hurt. My legs are sometimes achy.
Yep.
And then you see someone running around. I'm like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Which they could also just be locals that go there for a fun.
I used to assume
place.
like that was always it. I always like anytime I saw a runner, I'm like, they must be locals who just like to come over here and run. But now I think more often than not, it's people who are training for a race. They're there for Run Disney, but they could also just be people who are like training for a different race and they happen to be on vacation prior to that race, but they don't want to mess up their progress on their like running plan, you know? So
Yeah.
I think it's fair. I'm not going to judge people for what they do.
I've also learned a lot of people go to Disney and they don't even go into a park. We've done that multiple times now. So there's a lot of ways to do Disney. And I guess depending on what your priorities in life are, you go run that marathon, girl. You get it. Or boy.
Honey child. Okay, next, so more amenities. They have a tennis court. They have a wedding gazebo, which...
Oh, good.
Yeah, that was very important. No, actually, I have heard that could be cool because you just wake up one morning, you hear like a violin out your door, and you're like, oh, they're getting married. Somebody's getting married right outside my window.
Is this different than the one that's kind of across from the boardwalk? Because we saw someone get married there.
It is different.
Those are pretty close together then.
Yeah. I think that one's more multi-purpose. This one is more like it's all white. It's very intentional. And it's more in a nook in the yacht club area. I looked at it on the map and it looks more private for sure.
I must look up pictures of it.
Yes, please
continue.
do.
Sorry.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Did I say tennis court? I meant tennis court if I didn't say that. And then Surrey bikes. This was the other thing that I think you can get them at the yacht club and the boardwalk also maybe, but you see them if you ever go to the boardwalk area around Crescent Lake, people are riding these. They're basically like giant bike things where multiple people are contributing to the cycling. And
they're cute. They kind of remind me of those little paddle boats, but as a bicycle,
but on land
cart.
Yeah, they have like obnoxious horns. So if you don't want your kid honking the horn, maybe just don't let them be near it. But
it was aggressive. I don't want your kid.
Well, because I've been on I've been there whenever the person's like, so and so, stop it, and they're just like honk, 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 like so annoying. So, helping you out. Anyone out there who's
if you like children, stay away from Disney if you have children.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, you know what I mean. I mean, it didn't bother me because they just zoomed by me, so I didn't hear it that long. But the people who were on the bike were like fed up. Okay, so that was the kind of the boring ones. But Stormalong Bay is the main amenity that I must talk about, and I also must experience at some point in my life. So Stormalong Bay, it's not just a pool. It's like a whole pool complex with multiple parts of it. And some parts are connected to others, but some parts are separate. But the gist of it is there's sand bottoms, like false sand bottoms, which just means that they put the sand there themselves, basically.
It's a pool. So of course they put the
sand on the bottom.
It's not like there's naturally sand in the bottom of man-made pools.
Yeah. Well, and then some of it's just sand on the bottom of the pool like a normal pool, but some of it's like it slowly slopes, so it's kind of like a beach. So kids can play in it like a beach, except there's no waves to worry about. There's a whirlpool area, which I think is like a giant hot tub kind of vibe. And then there's a lazy river that's attached to the rest of the pool, but by going like under a bridge or something, it's hard to get a lot of information without experiencing it yourself. So from what I can tell, it's amazing. Oh, there are a couple of different slides. One is huge. I have witnessed it. It's from like a shipwreck that's outside of the pool area across the walkway. So if you're walking around the boardwalk area, you will have gone under this slide and you will potentially have been almost run into by little boys and little girls running
sprinting
across,
to get to the
dripping
line.
wet, ready to get on the slide for the 98th time. And yeah, it just looks great.
I've heard a lot of people will stay at this resort for the pool. I haven't stayed there for it before, but if you're a family that's like, oh, this is a perfect experience for our family, we could spend all day there, but it seems out of your price range, look into Disney's actual water parks, because there's a good chance a family of 4 could spend a day at a real water park for a lot cheaper than spending 4 nights at Yacht or Beach Club just to get that water park type experience.
True. I will say, yeah, if I was staying here, I would not go to a water park. I would definitely take advantage of this pool.
And I'm just saying, consider your options, because you don't have to
make it work for you.
You don't have to stay at Yacht and Beach Club just to get like a good water park experience, and the water parks are significantly cheaper than regular park tickets. So consider that, do a little cost analysis and vibe analysis, whatever you want.
Vibe analysis is our expertise. Okay. I'm going to move on to dining. So just going off of what we just talked about with the Stormalong Bay pool area, there is a pool bar in that area called Hurricane Hannah's. I don't know a ton about it other than that it's a pretty good pool bar. Like, for a pool bar, pretty good. So, and I think it's pretty big because Stormalong Bay is so big. There's a lot of people to cater to.
I would imagine it's more to the scale and to the expectations of like a full restaurant, just because of how popular
it's also, the other thing to consider is that Beaches and Cream is right there next to a pool, and they have an outdoor window. So they're a limited version of the menu of Beaches and Cream, which is, it's like considered a soda shop. So it's kind of a diner vibe that focuses on ice cream, but they also have a lot of really good food. So you can get stuff from there too at the window counter, which is right by the pool. So you have food options.
Eating a Beaches and Cream sundae outside at Stormalong Bay as you're drying off, starting to get toasty from the sun drying you. That sounds so nice.
Yeah. Amazing.
This might have to be our next place we stay. I wouldn't be opposed to a beach club moment.
Yeah, no, same. 100%. Okay, so I talked about Beaches and Cream, talked about Hurricane Hannah's. I will say Beaches and Cream, Molly and I have been to. It was delicious. Molly was starving, so she may be biased toward it because it saved her life.
I was hangry and I was like, why is Disney not feeling magical? I think I just landed that day and I was so hungry. And then I just needed to eat, and all of a sudden Disney was magical again.
And you were
the
like,
problem
this
was
is
me.
So good. You were so impressed with the sandwich, which it did look good, and I think I tried it. It was really good.
Yeah, you did. It was good.
Yeah.
Your ice cream was not good, but
I
disagree.
But it wasn't real ice cream. It was like soy based or something, but I thought it was good. Anyway, so that place, I will say Beaches and Cream, you do need a reservation if you want to sit at a normal table. Molly and I were walk-ups, and because there were just 2 of us and we were willing to sit at the bar, they were able to seat us right away. But it is definitely difficult to get in there. I think just because of the novelty of it, they have something called the kitchen sink, which is like one of those deals where it's like a massive thing of ice cream, and they're like, put a whole can of whipped cream on it, and then everyone goes, a whole can. Yeah. So it's like a whole thing. There's sirens and lights flashing and stuff whenever you order it. We have not done that for obvious reasons. I'm lactose-ish sensitive, and we just haven't had a big enough group to like want to do it. But maybe someday. But anyway, that place is great. A great
I don't think
vibe.
I need the kitchen sink. Also, like sharing ice cream with like as many people as you
Yeah.
need to share that with in order to take it down. That's like a lot of dirty spoons going back in there. And like if one
The
person on your trip is sick, then all of a sudden everyone's sick. But I don't know. Have fun. It's a vibe, it's a moment, but you don't need to order the kitchen sink to have the experience of while you sit at Beaches and Cream, probably 5 people will order it. And you'll get a little tired
yeah,
of hearing, oh, okay.
yeah. I will say I think you can do the whole thing like you do with appetizers where everyone has their own little bowl or little plate and then you can like have one thing scooping it out. So the grossness is way dialed down with that. I just don't know if that's considered like cheating. I think it'd be fine. But anyway,
It's not as fun. It's like
it's
little
not
kids are going to want to dig in there.
yeah.
Ugh.
Anyway, all right. So that's 2 of the restaurants. That's the beach club, by the way. We're talking about the beach club. So I don't know if I was clear. Stormalong Bay it's kind of mostly in front of the beach club, but it's also part of the yacht club. I think it's kind of like in between-ish. Pretty sure.
They
But
share it.
it's like it's so big it kind of expands across. But yeah, they share it for sure. It's for both resorts. So and all of those other amenities I talked about are really for both resorts for the most part. Another restaurant is Martha's Vineyard. I think it's a little bit more of just like a lounge situation. Every time I've been by it, it's been closed. Maybe it's because I'm there earlier in the day or something, but doesn't seem like the vibe to me personally. But the only other
We
restaurant
prefer our restaurants open.
exactly. And then Cape May Cafe is the other restaurant there at the beach club. And I have been to this one. This is the one we talked about in a previous episode where we had our big family trip in late 2023.
2022.
Yeah, that didn't sound right.
If you want to see some really, really cute clips of Cape May, go to our TikTok. We've got multiple of our niece wearing a pink Minnie Mouse dress and doing a twirl with Minnie. Very cute.
So
I wasn't
cute.
there for it, so I lived through it through the TikToks that I create from
it looked
the videos.
just like it does in the videos. In case you were wondering, it looked just like that. And actually, I took the videos, so that was exactly my vantage point. So you were basically there. But anyway, so Cape May Cafe, they have what we did was the breakfast buffet, and that's the one that's a character meet and greet with Minnie, Daisy, Donald, and Goofy in their surf vibe outfits. Very cute. The food was good. I wouldn't say fabulous. I wouldn't go back for the food, but I would go back for the character interactions because they were so cute and fun. And then I've heard their buffet for dinner is pretty good. It's mostly seafood, but I've heard there's a lot of other non-seafood things that you would be totally happy if you're not a seafood lover like Molly. So
it's my biggest shame.
Maybe someday.
The vibes of being a seafood eater are great, but I just every time I smell fish, I'm like, bleh. So
yeah, I do wonder what the smell would be like because a buffet of seafood probably not the best smells. But not to fear, not to fear. You could just pop over to the yacht club for some fine dining experiences for dinner. So I'll ease into in crescendo, as usual, to the best of the best here. So yacht club, we've got the market at Ale and Compass. It's basically a combination of merchandise and quick service and like snacky things, and they just have like sandwiches and stuff like that you can order, and I've heard good things. I think they also have a coffee kind of situation, and I don't know, I think that's fine.
I think I've been there before, but I don't remember. I don't think we ate anything. I think it was just like we really like looking at the unique souvenirs from each resort. So together, I think we've been to probably all of the resorts at this point to look at that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
I don't remember if we got anything to eat. I don't think we did.
I don't think so. I don't think it's definitely not known for like the quick service stuff. That's just like enough to get you by. I think the food itself is good. I just don't think there are a lot of options. Like if you're used to the values like us, we're used to like one giant food court of quick service, whereas the quick service is like over there in the corner, like See, there's the cast member working on it, like 2 people staffed there or something like that.
And
Whereas
they've got 5 things on the menu versus like having all of the options.
yeah, because you've got all these other restaurants. So the other restaurants are the Ale and Compass, which I think from what I understand, I've heard it called kind of like the Grand Floridian Cafe level of like fanciness. So it is a sit down, but it's like the most casual one in the vicinity. It's very approachable.
You could easily go before or after a park day without
Yeah.
feeling too out of place, even if you're a little icky.
Yeah, I've heard it's good, like very good, solid, like yummy, whatever, but it's not gonna like knock your socks off, and it's not gonna be like the most expensive thing ever. So it's just a solid option, for sure. And then there's the Cruise Cup Lounge, which I think that is attached to the Yachtsman Steakhouse. So that is like the pinnacle of the yacht club. The Yachtsman Steakhouse, I have heard incredible things about. It's one of those experiences. I'm assuming it's considered signature dining because it's the kind of experience where like they describe how they prepared the meat and it's been sitting in this, I don't know enough about
Dry
meat.
aged or whatever.
Yeah, dry aged. That rings a bell.
Seriously, it's been sitting out in the open for a long time, and for some reason people like that.
The flies have been kissing it to make it.
Ew, that's not that. If you're yacht club Yachtsman Steakhouse, don't sue us. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's kidding.
I don't know. It's like a delicacy. Whatever it is.
It's probably really yummy.
People love it. That's all I know. I've heard really good things about their bread. Like they have rolls or something that are really good. I don't know. And I've also heard that the lounge outside of it has some kind of prime rib sandwich thing that's gone viral that has it basically takes pieces of stuff that's sold at the Yachtsman Steakhouse and puts them together in little sliders that are apparently amazing, but also more approachable and affordable because they're smaller and they're at a lounge, so you're not committing to like a whole meal.
Yeah. What's that? Prime rib? Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Prime rib kind of freaks me out a little bit because of how rare it looks, because of how it's like baked or whatever, and it's really evenly cooked, blah, blah, blah. I think I could approach it a lot more easily with a slider versus feeling like I'm eating raw meat. Yeah.
You just hide it from me and then I'll eat it and I'll say,
hide it from me and bread. Bread, good. Steak, good.
Exactly. Yeah, so those are the restaurants. I want to make sure I'm not skipping any because we have been known to do that. So I
have been known to do that. I just go until I'm done listing what I feel like is worth mentioning.
You're like, it's all there. Okay, so Ale and Compass also has a lounge. I did not mention that. But that's, I think lounges to me are the thing that I have always ignored previously, but now I'm like, oh, maybe they have really good food for much more affordable prices where I don't have to commit to a whole sit down meal.
Yeah.
Maybe I should consider that.
That's one thing to note about basically all of the deluxes is all of the deluxes will have some sort of a really nice sit down dining situation. A lot of them have lounges. They all have quick services. Sometimes they'll have something in between that's like a sit down table service, but not so nice. And then you go to the moderates and they'll have a quick service, and then usually like a nice sit down pool bar or something, or maybe a sit down restaurant. And then you go to the value resorts, and consistently they all only have a quick service, but there's a lot of options. So if any of those different categories speaks to you, go down that route, look at that, look at all the different resorts in that category, because there are a lot of patterns like that too. Like all the pools at the value resorts have XYZ features, and all the pools at the deluxes have a slide, and like there's just a lot of things where if you are really, really wanting a slide, look into that, because I don't know where I'm going with this, but just there are very set categories of like what qualifications the values will have versus the moderates versus the deluxes. So if having a ton of restaurants is something you need for your family nearby, deluxes are your girl.
Your girl, because there are people too. Okay.
Or your boy, because some of them are boys.
Some of them are boys. Okay, I did miss some restaurants, but I mean, no one would come for me about these. So the beach club also has a marketplace, and it's same deal as the yacht club, where it's part merch store, part quick service. This one I think is bigger, bigger merch aspect of it. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good merch there, basically, and I don't remember much about the food there. But that's where you get like your refills for your resort mug if you have that. I think you can probably also refill those at Hurricane Hannah's out at the pool. That's typically the case. And then the other thing that I missed. Oh, I was just gonna I was just gonna comment on the fact that the sentence for Martha's Vineyard, the one that I was kind of like, it's nothing to me, is the sentence is very short compared to everything else in this blog I'm reading. So they say it's a quiet lounge, aka closed all the time, like I said, with a breezy feel inspired by a New England beach house, which like the whole place is inspired by New England beach house. So that's nothing. It means nothing. Martha's Vineyard, step it up. Anyway,
Wow.
sorry for the
You
hate.
might get some hate from that one.
Well, the thing is, like, maybe they're open sometimes now. Maybe it's just because I went like post-COVID era, but I'll go someday, and if it's good, I'll give it its flowers or whatever. Or whatever. Okay, so the last category is rooms, cost, that whole thing. So the cost ranges. So this is just if you're buying from Disney, the cost range is about $550 for like the basic studio type of room, up to like $3,500 for like the fanciest multi-room suite per night. So
ooh, that makes my booty hole pucker. That is crazy that people just fork over that money like regularly. Sorry, pardon my French, but like $550 at the low end. Are you guys crazy?
Yeah,
y'all rich.
Yeah, so we talk like we're going here because we probably are. And I'm not gonna bury the lead here. You can pay for. So Beach Club is the only side of it that has DVC, Disney Vacation Club. And you can get a Disney Vacation Club studio room for, what was it, like 300? Just above 300?
I don't remember, but it's usually a little over
half. Same as
Wilderness. Oh, yeah, that's about right then.
Like basically 300 a night, which is still a lot if you're used to, basic hotels around the world, but you are at a Disney hotel with a prime location with a built-in, basically a full-on water park. And so you're getting an incredible experience for sure. And $300 is actually doable for more people, especially if you do a split stay, and maybe this is like 3 nights at the end of your trip where you started the trip at Pop Century or something.
Yeah, another thing to note for us is I've learned this more as I've grown up. A lot of people will do multiple rooms. Like if there's 4 people, they might do 2 separate rooms just to give people more space. We don't do that. We will crowd into one room. So when there's like a $300 room per night, we split that among like 4 people. We're not splitting it between 2 of us, and then our parents have the room next door. So that's where we're willing to compromise, which is sharing beds, squishing people in there, up to what the capacity of the room is. Never go beyond that, or Disney will know, and they don't like that. I think you could get in like big time trouble, but we compromise on space. We would much rather squish into a deluxe room together and experience it than go separate and just do the value resorts every time. But that's our personal preference. If you want more space, you might just never get to do the nicer things. Or maybe you're rich. I don't know you.
Or maybe you're willing to go into debt, which
we're not.
We're not. That's not for me. Debt is not my favorite. Not for me. Okay. So yeah, I'd say going back to kind of those ranges. So the Yacht Club is all non-DVC rooms, which means the whole thing is a hotel. It mostly has normal rooms, meaning not those like crazy over the top bougie, like presidential suite, blah, 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 all that stuff. It's more of just a bunch of studios with some club level rooms. And it has a club level lounge, which we've talked about before. That basically means you're at the top, you usually have the best views, and your lounge is an all inclusive food and beverage situation depending on the time of day. You might have some breakfasty bites, some afternoon snack bites, some dinner and
Yeah.
dessert vibes.
I did not know that Yacht Club didn't have any DVC rooms. That's kind
Yep.
of surprising to me, but also not upset because, as we mentioned before, beach club's more my vibe.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised because when we've looked for DVC stuff, Yacht Club was never an option. It's always beach. We were always between beach and wilderness because those are about the same price when we were looking. So we'll just have to choose beach next time.
And another thing to note, I was just checking this to verify because I don't like spreading misinformation except when I do it blatantly and I don't even think
That's
to check
called
myself.
Disinformation.
Yeah. Anyway, there in these DVC rooms at Beach Club, there are 5 comfortable sleeping positions. So 5 people, 5 adults could sleep there pretty easily. One of them is the pull down bunk. So it's like a twin size bunk bed. There's a Murphy bed that I believe is queen sized, and then a regular queen size bed. I might be eating my words a little bit. The twin bunk might be a little short, but like I think I'll fit on it pretty well.
You did steal my thunder, but yes, that is true. I will say, from what I've learned, there are multiple configurations of this that you could potentially get. The DVC rooms are more standard, and those were the ones we were looking at. But if you're just going straight beach or yacht club, most of them do house whatever 5 people, but their accommodate, that's it. But their configurations might be different. So it could be like Queen Murphy bed and the pull down twin size bed, or it could be like a pull out couch and this and that, that kind of thing. So I think it just depends.
Good. I love the Murphy beds. I would be fine in a room where it was 2 Murphy beds and then like one half is a couch, one half is a table. Some people I know like to have their bed available at all times, but if it's up to me, I want all the beds to go up into the wall, give me all the space during the day.
Yeah, especially because you're usually gross during the day. Just you, not me. Just kidding.
How rude.
Humans in general in Florida are gross during the day, so you don't want to touch your bed when you're gross. So yeah, I agree with that in general. I will say I think we should measure the twin bed when we get there and compare it to actual twin dimensions, because from what I can tell, it looks pretty long. And most people are like, "Oh, I'm a human," and I mean, a human. I'm an adult, and I
know how humans say, "Oh, I'm a human."
The point is, adults sleep or like lay down in it, and they're like, "Wow, this is surprisingly spacious." And I'm like, are they just saying that because they're like on camera, or what? Or is it like actually bigger? I don't know.
I think I've seen Molly from All Ears lay in it, and she says she's like 5'8" and she can sleep in it, but her husband Alan is like 6'2" and his feet hang over the edge a little bit, which I don't think that's too crazy for a non-extra long standard mattress. I don't know. I'm 5'5", 5'6", and I plan on me or you, I don't know who, but one of us sleeping on it, so we can either measure it with our bodies or maybe we'll bring a little tape measure just to spread the good word.
Yeah, we can measure it with our bodies, just full extension, and then compare. I like that plan. Okay,
we can get some measurement marks tattooed on our body just for context. Yeah. I've seen that there's some like contractors and stuff who will have a ruler tattooed on their forearm to measure things. But what if they get swole one day and then all of a sudden
it stretches out and now it's not accurate? That is fascinating.
I guess your bone wouldn't grow, so it might be a little warped, but it should still work.
Yeah, you would have to get the tattoo. You'd have to get the tattoo on the most painful part, because isn't it most painful to get it like right on the bone?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Just Disney stuff, guys.
Anything for convenience. Okay, well, that's really the majority of what I have. I will say, in summary, the other thing I wanted to say about the rooms. They're generally known for being very spacious, especially for people who are used to values like us, where maybe people are used to a value resort where it's just tight. Like you can sleep 4 people and you have 2 queen size beds, but it's a really tight fit. But these rooms, it's like you feel like you have room to breathe. It's very spacious, that kind of thing. And you and I, like, we experienced that, I would say, at the Poly. Like, it was a similar room type. It could sleep one more person, but man, it was
Yeah,
massive in
we went
comparison.
on that trip from Little Mermaid Studio Suite at Art of Animation, which is just really standard room. It was renovated, I think, one of the first of the new round of renovations before they'd come up with the Murphy bed idea. So there was no way to put that bed out of the way to create more room. It's enough space for 2 people, but man, walking into the Poly to their comparable, in air quotes, studio suite, so much bigger. We could do cartwheels in there. So this time around on our coming trip in a few weeks, we are going to make sure we document our reactions and room tours of, we're going to be staying at where are we going to be staying at? We're going to be staying
All-Star.
one night at All Star Sports.
Mhm.
That might be a little bit of a rough room tour because we're going to be getting in at like 1 a.m. So you might see some messy beds in the morning, but that's okay. It'll give the idea. And then we're going straight from there to Wilderness Lodge. So we can do a compare and contrast.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Okay, so in summary, the Beach and Yacht Club are incredible. Beach Club is a girl, and she is whimsical and beautiful and light and pastel. Yacht Club is a moody man with blues and wood tones, and
they're twins, and
they're
they're
twins.
humans, and some people think they're dating until they find out they're twins, and then they're like, oh, they're just siblings? Huh. And it's a little confusing. People think they might actually still be dating even though they're twins.
Okay.
They're conjoined twins, aren't they?
Yeah, they are conjoined. You do have to go outside for a second to get from one to the other, but it's covered and it's right. Like, you're right next to the buildings as you do that. Did I mention there's a convention center? There's a convention
You
center.
did not.
It's detached. It's behind, I think it's the Yacht Club. It could be the Beach Club. I think it's the Yacht Club, but I didn't even know they had a convention center because it's detached. And it's smaller, so I don't think it's like big conventions. I think it's more like, I don't know, off-site retreats.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. I can't wait to stay here someday, and I hope I'm right in that this is my favorite resort ever. I lean toward Molly with theming. Beach Club seems more along the lines of my vibe, but I also do love like the dark, moody kind of thing.
I can't imagine, unless we have a horrible experience with Disney Vacation Club rental, which I don't think we will. We're going to be testing it out for the first time on this upcoming trip. Unless that goes terribly, I can't see us forking over full money for a room whenever we can just go to the hotel next door for a very similar experience. So we might never stay at Yacht Club, but we will hang out there.
The thing I'm considering, like, there may be some time when we go and there's like a sick discount, like a steep discount,
like 40%. Like, it would have to be similar to what we would get with DVC rental.
Yeah. And I think it's possible. Or maybe, someday Disney decides to gift it to us, which we would happily receive. Anyway.
Or maybe we just get really rich.
Or that, to where we don't care that it's like $1,000. Anyway, I think that's it. We're obsessed. Go Beach and Yacht Club. Love it.
Slay. 16 days till our next Disney adventure. Not that I'm counting.
Insane. We have to remember. Just a reminder for everyone: the time when you can start booking your Lightning Lane multi passes and maybe your individual multi passes, your single passes, is 7 days before you get to your resort, your first day of your trip. So we have to remember to do that so that we can.
Is it 7 days before we get to
Wilderness Lodge? Because that's the one that's associated with that's the place we're staying at on our first park day. So that's the one that's associated with our trip.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. That's what the cast member told me on the app. So I believe them. But we can always, try on the other a day early just to make sure, but we'll report back what we learn. But I'm very excited. It's going to be great. And we'll share all of our tips and trips in future episodes. So stay tuned. And like Molly said, go check out our social media. TikTok is where we post the majority of our stuff. We have an Instagram, but we're still working on the whole Instagram side of things, I think. So TikTok is where it's at.
Yeah, I'm focusing most of my energy on learning how to make TikToks. So hopefully, once I get that under my belt a little better, I should start posting them also on Reels. But there's all kinds of stinky rules about TikTok wants you to make the TikToks on their app, and they're going to make them do better if you make them on the app. And if you
Yeah.
upload from another source, they don't like it. Everyone's just territorial.
Yeah, everyone's just making things difficult for us little small business owners, But the other thing, oh yeah, we have YouTube also. So if you would like to watch us, we're just on video, just chatting from across the country. Molly's in Salt Lake. I'm in Dallas. If you were curious, and so if you ever want to watch us instead of just listen, you are more than welcome to. And
I will
think
warn
that's gonna
you,
do it.
we record this after a long day of work, so sometimes we don't look super hot, but usually we do.
Yeah. And sometimes the sun
hot.
sets while we're recording. So the beginning, the lighting is great. By the end, I look like spooky because of the lighting. But that's okay. All right. I think that'll do it. And we'll see you next time, Castle Dwellers.
Bye.
Bye.